Welcome, unprofessionals, to episode 45. Nicole Anthony.
Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And please put unprofessional development in the How Did You Hear About Podgo? That will give us a little finder's fee. Thank you. Hello, unprofessionals. So as you know, now we're doing real commercials, not just the silly ones that we normally do. So today I've got with me my daughter Micah. Say hello, Micah.
Hi.
She has an Etsy account. It's called what?
Roo Makes Bracelets.
Roo Makes Bracelets, okay? We'll put a link in the show notes for you for sure. So she makes some friendship bracelets. She even has one that is kind of an unprofessional bracelet where she's made the unpro letters in the bracelet. So if you need a bracelet, go to Roo's Bracelets. Anything else you want to say about your bracelets?
No.
Okay. But she's a little kid. She's 11 years old. She's entrepreneuring. You know, support her. And go to Roo's Bracelets. Click the link in the show notes. Thank you. Say goodbye, Micah.
Bye.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an exciting episode of Unprofessional Development. I'm Tudisco.
And I'm Mealy. And today we have with us another celebrity, okay? It is Nicole Anthony of Big Brother and Hello Friends, the podcast fame. So we're glad to have you on here. So I reached out to Nicole. I am a casual Big Brother fan. I go back as far as season 16 with Cody and Derek. And my wife is a bigger Big Brother fan. She became a really big fan that season, but she watches the after hours stuff, and like she's got like friends that they talk Big Brother all the time and all that kind of stuff. And so I come in and out, and I know it, and I know you, and I know the game, but I am not like hardcore. Oh, though I will say this, it's kind of weird. You probably know that this exists. My family is playing Big Brother Fantasy. Like where you have, have you played that at all?
I have not, but I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah. So I currently have Cody and the other Nicole. Okay, so that's who I have left.
So you literally took somebody with the same name and replaced me.
I'm sorry. Well, when we did the picking, it was after your eviction when there were only 12 people left when we did it. So
no,
I only have 3 people, and I got David, but David's gone.
Picks.
Yeah, I think they're not bad. Yeah.
David. I love David so much. It makes me so sad he's gone. But those are actually really good picks, and I think those could actually happen, Cody and Nicole. I'm just joking, but it is very true.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're decent. Yeah.
Yes.
My wife has I think she's got Tyler and somebody else good. Maybe not Enzo. I don't know. But anyway, she's got it. My wife's killing it. Her team is winning. Oh, she's got Memphis. She's got Tyler and Memphis.
So if I can interject, I don't know Big Brother at all. I'm not gonna lie. I don't reality TV, but when I started doing some research for today's episode, I started seeing like people with tons of stats listed, and it felt like I was like going through fantasy football.
Yes.
Like, how often they vote majority and how long they last, and oh my goodness. And I was looking at that, and my first thought was there's got to be gambling on this. Like there has to be.
Oh, of course.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure in Vegas you can play Big Brother, all sorts of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, people have like their fantasy like order of evictions and fantasy final 2 and who's gonna be a have-not, all that kind of stuff. There's so much.
Yeah. Millions prop bets you could go with. Mm-hmm. So we want to kind of talk. So the reason we had you, not that you're not awesome, we wouldn't want to have you on anyway, but this is kind of a teachery podcast.
I love that.
And so we want to kind of talk about pre-Big Brother for a little bit and your life as a teacher and what that was like and any funny stories you have from before you became rich and famous and just, hanging out with Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston and Barack Obama and all these other people.
I'm I'm definitely not rich, and I'm definitely not famous. I always say, like, when people say, like, you're a celebrity, I'm like, like Z-list. But yeah, the life before, I was, how can I describe it? So I graduated high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do college-wise, because both my sisters went into college and were like, yep, we're going for child study. This is what we want. And I was the one that was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. So I went into college, and I was an undeclared major for a while. And then I said, I love English. I love talking. I love hearing myself talk. I love writing. So I was like, I'll declare English. And as my fellow English majors know, you have that moment of, well, what do I do with my English degree?
Yep.
So then there came the moment where I was like, oh no, if I graduate, what do I do with it? I know, I'll declare education. So then I declared education because, again, I love talking about literature. I love explaining it to people. So I thought, like, okay, high school, collegiate level. So I went for English secondary education, which means I can teach 7th to 12th grade English. And then when I graduated, I was kind of like, all right, I have my degree, but I don't necessarily know if I want to go right into, like, teaching. So I was, again, the lost sister of the family, because both my sisters got their jobs. They're rocking and rolling. They're amazing. And I'm just like, I don't know. So they're amazing. And they got me into the preschool. So I worked there for... oh my gosh, I used to work there summers between college semesters, and then I worked there when I actually did graduate full time. So I was there for like 5 or 6 years as a one-to-one aide, as a teacher's assistant, and I loved it. And like I always said, because I think sometimes, I hate the word fans, but I think sometimes fans get kind of confused because they'll be like, oh, you left those kids, you ditched those kids. But that's not what I went to school for. So I love them, and I loved working there, but I knew it wasn't my niche. I knew it wasn't where I was meant to end up permanently, if that makes sense.
So do you still plan on becoming a full-time teacher, or do you just kind of, do you not know, or what do you think is going to happen with that?
I don't know. You know, prior to getting cast my first season of Big Brother, I had put in an application for a master's program, or inquiring into master's programs, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do special education or an English master's and maybe, you know, become a professor, or literacy and teach younger kids how to read. So I was undecided between that and Big Brother. So what I did was I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for Big Brother and apply for masters and see who gets back to me first. And that will be my sign. That will be my sign.
My master's degree is my fallback if reality TV doesn't pan out.
So many people have done the exact same thing. I'm just going to become... Yeah. Because I was going to be like an architect, or I was going to be on Survivor. I didn't know which. I just whichever one it would be.
No, but like, I'm such a firm believer in like your journey and your path and where you're meant to end up. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do that, put this all out into the universe, see where it gets me. And I got the Big Brother call. So I was like, all right, there's my answer. And in all honesty, I've kind of been in this whirlwind of Big Brother since being on it, because I was on the show, got off it, and had a lot of meet and greets and all that kind of stuff. Then COVID hit, so I was stuck at home. And then I got cast on the show again. And now here I am again. So I haven't given too much thought, but I know, like, I'm in this mindset of, at one point, I would like to go back and get a master's degree. And what, I'm not sure. I could see myself 10, 15 years from now being an English professor at a college, but that requires a lot more schooling. So there's just, you know, there's a lot of options. But currently right now, I'm like, you know what? I'm happy, you know, with the podcast. I am happy doing reality events. And I'll just, you know, ride the wave for a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's cool.
And
that's cool.
So I know when you were with the kindergarten kids, you were working specifically with kids with special needs. Was like the whole kindergarten like a special needs center, or were you just working with some special needs kids?
So yes, it's a special education. It's actually preschool, but it is special education. And there's some kids that are tuition, so they, you know, the parents pay for them to go there, and they're more typical. But being that I was most often a one-to-one aide, I worked majorly with kids with special needs.
Okay.
Wow. That's such an interesting challenge. I'm sure some days must have been amazing and some days must have been ridiculously challenging.
Oh, I just saw a TikTok yesterday of a woman that's like, every day when my friends ask me if I want to hang out after work, and it was just her passing out in the bed every day. And she's like, P.S. I'm a teacher. And it's so true. And I always say one of the most underrated professions and acknowledged is education, because you are there all day, every day, and you're not just responsible for you. You're obviously responsible for your students, and not just your students in your classroom. You're responsible for your students' dynamics in the hallways, in other classrooms. And it's just so much responsibility, and especially in this special education realm, it's a lot. It's a lot of time and attention and effort and mental strain. So there's days when I would come home and just be like, nope, I just want to eat my brownie and drink some coffee because I needed like my sugar because I was so depleted. So I'd be like, give me my little Debbie, give me my coffee, and I just want to sit here in silence. Like my sisters, like the preschool just started up again with in-person learning, so both my sisters come home, and I'm like, I get it. They are both exhausted because now it's keep the masks on, keep socially distant, don't touch each other's toys, clean each other's toys. So not the kids cleaning, the teachers, of course, cleaning. Right. No child labor. That's good. So, there's always something to do. So I see my sisters get home utterly exhausted, and I just want to give like a major shout out to all the teachers out there, especially in this COVID world, because there's so much going on. It's a lot.
It's
so
very, very challenging. It's very challenging.
So then what made you want to join Big Brother, and did you have any sort of like, were there any repercussions for that professionally? Because I can't imagine getting on a reality TV show while still being a teacher. Like I'd be so paranoid.
Oh, absolutely.
About that and what sort of the fallout might be.
My main reason for applying, like I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been watching since season 11 religiously.
Wow.
And then around season,
and we're at season 22 for those of you that don't know. So it's that's a long time. Yes.
Yeah. So like over a decade, and it was around like season 17 with Steve Moses that I remember he won HOH, and he was like, "Oh, this is a picture of me giving a speech as salutatorian," and I was sitting there like, "Wow, smart people." Not that they're all not smart, but like the more like nerdy, geeky type people can be on reality TV. So I remember watching him and being like, oh wow, like that's me. I'm Steve. Like I could do that. That's awesome. And then
is he the one that played the tuba? Maybe I'm wrong. Did he have glasses?
Yes, he has glasses.
And he won, right?
Yes, he won.
Okay, then I know who Steve is. Yes, curly hair. Yes. Yeah, he kind of like flew under the radar for like about the first half of the season, and then he just started like going, oh, by the way, I can do stuff that you guys didn't know, and now here I'm going to start dominate HOHs for a little while here. Yeah.
And that's what's so incredible is he was so like underrated, and everybody was kind of like, oh, that's Steve. Oh, that's Steve. He's not one of the popular kids, and then all of a sudden he just trailblazed right through. But I remember watching him being like, wow, I'm like that. And then later seasons, I watched Paul. Absolutely adore Paul. Paul is like my inner voice. So whereas Steve is who I exude, Paul is like my inner monologue. So I would see him in the DR and be like, that's me. I could do this. So I always loved the show. And then I started like, I don't know, before I would fall asleep, I would have dreams like I'm meant to be in that house. I've seen it. I've seen myself walk past the memory wall. I've seen myself in the kitchen. I know it's going to happen. So when I was at the preschool, again, nothing against the kids, nothing against the staff, nothing against the career. I felt very stuck. I felt very like, I don't know what I want to do professionally. I know I'm not meant to be here forever. I don't know what I want to do schooling wise. I just feel very stuck. I need to get myself out of it. And I felt as though applying to something that was completely out of my comfort zone. I never had been on a plane before. So I'd never been to California before. Never went away for school, so I never dormed with people. So I just wanted to completely rip myself out of my comfort zone and put myself in a situation where it's like, now you're just Nicole. There's no parents to rely on, no sisters to rely on. You have to just be you. And that was my motivation for going. But to go back to your question in regards to like, the repercussions, I wasn't too scared because I know myself and I know I wouldn't say or do anything that would get me into trouble. Mm-hmm. But I was still very cognizant of it. So obviously the Big Brother house always has cameras. So I would make sure I would always change in the shower stall or like stuff like that. And that's stuff I would do anyway because I'm just a very, shy person. But like stuff like that, like you don't want to be caught on camera in a certain way. Or when certain house guests would play a drinking game, I'd be like, nope, peace out. Again, Nicole, the person, doesn't want to play the drinking game. But, I also had it in my mind, if my students are watching this, I want to make sure I show it is the true Nicole, but also the correct Nicole. And, I want to be a positive role model. So that's something that I always try to be cognizant of.
Do you think that helped you on the show, too? Like being that good role model?
I'd like to think so. I know.
It probably got you the part of you winning the America's Favorite house guest. So I think that
guess.
Yes.
I still don't understand why. You know why? Because I always say, like, I'm just me, and that's all I can be. So, like, to win that, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, all I did was be Nicole. So, like, I don't know. That still hasn't, I don't know. I'm so thankful for it, but I'm still like, really? Like, me? That's weird.
And not that I don't love you, Nicole. Cliff was my favorite. You know, I really thought he
Cliff's
would
my
win,
favorite too.
Even if he had like his cold, like manipulative side, and maybe that which is just the game. You know what I mean? Not that he's a bad person. He you know, but I think maybe why he didn't win America's Favorite House Guest, because sometimes he
was
some
close.
Yes,
I know. Top 3 was me, Cliff, and Tommy. I thought it was going to be Cliff, Tommy, Sam.
Yeah.
Fun fact: my parents would go shopping. And my dad, like, when they'd be, like, at the cashier, my dad would be like, oh, my daughter's on Big Brother. Because my dad has to tell everybody and their mother. Right. So the person's like, oh, that's cool. And then my dad would be like, yeah, I hope Sam, the truck driver, wins. And my mom would be like, Jerry, like, your daughter's on the show. And he's like, yeah, but, like, I want the guy with kids to win. I'm voting for him for AFP. My dad voted for Sam for AFP. Like, that's screwed up.
Wow. You really are the forgotten daughter, right?
They're like, wait, who? Which one is that?
So we want to kind of bring a little more teaching, because we want to talk Big Brother. We want to kind of bring some teaching flavor back in again. So talk about how you talked about managing the kids and going in and out of hallways and all these kind of things. So how do you think your classroom management skills that you developed over 5 years had interacted with managing personalities inside of Big Brother and having to do all that? So kind of just give us some insight into how you think that was helpful.
So much. I remember in all my interviews leading up to the season, they were like, what's your strategy? What's your strategy? And I'm like, listen, you can't really have a strategy, because like a classroom, you could use all the textbook learning that you got. You could use all the student teaching you've done, all the mock lessons you've done for professors. Nothing really, really prepares you for being placed in a classroom, meeting, you know, whether it be 10 or 20 or even 30 personalities at once. And I said, I want to walk into the Big Brother house like a classroom and assess and adapt. So you walk in, figure out all the personality types, assess them daily, weekly, and adapt to them. Because, like, again, your end goal in a classroom is for all your students to do well. However, you have to fix, you know, along the way to get to that goal. Same thing in the Big Brother house. The end goal is to win, but you need to navigate it along the way. So I always say assess and adapt, because just like kids have different personalities, of course, adults have different personalities. You need to learn what makes people tick, what pisses them off, what makes them upset, what feeds their ego and, like, makes them like you. So you kind of learn to, like, navigate that.
Cool. That's really, really cool. That makes a ton of sense, because we all have that. That's so true. We all think that we're going to, like, when you're in college, whatever, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and we're all going to, like, sing songs and hold hands, or it's going to be like this. I'm going to, whatever's going to happen. And then, like, oh, here's this kid that's just, like, pulling someone else's hair, or they're rolling around the floor, jumping on a desk, or whatever it is, and dealing with that. But the cool thing, I guess, kind of related to that, as was Big Brother, is you don't know how much you're going to love your students until you get in the classroom as well. And I'm guessing you had no idea how much you were going to like the relationships and how much you love those people living in the same house with somebody for how many total days were you in the house?
I was there for 99 days.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So, you know,
so it's a long time. And that's why, like, I know, you know, everybody has their opinions of the house guests and whatnot, but, you know, my reminder is always, you know, you tune in, let's say, 1 hour for 3 days a week, so that's 3 hours. I was with them 24 hours all day, every day. We were in lockdowns together where we would be locked in the HOH room for like an hour at a time with nothing to do but be stuck with each other.
Right.
So, like you
While
said,
they're changing the set and doing things, getting ready for a game or some event. Cool. Yeah.
Cool. So you just become so, like, attached to each other, and there's just such an understanding there that, like, even when you get home, like, your family doesn't understand. Those close to you don't understand. I remember first getting home, more so last season, this season, because this season I didn't last as long, obviously, but we won't talk about that. But, like, last season, I came back after 100 days, and, like, I missed my family, and I wanted to talk to my family, and I love my family, but I would have moments where I was overwhelmed about things about the house, things about the game, things about the fandom, and I'd be like, I need to call Tommy. I need to call Nick. I need to call Holly. Like, they will understand. And it's nothing against my family. It was just like they will get it because they were in that whatever it is of a reality show.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. One of the reasons we formed this podcast is because we know that one of the best ways for teachers to get better and to learn and to just become better teachers is to hang out with other teachers and talk to other teachers, because no one understands it except other teachers. They can like say, "Oh, I've seen a video, I've watched a movie, I've like done this or whatever." It's like, no, you haven't. If you've like, unless you've been like 8 hours for a year or two in school, you don't know what it's like.
It's so true. It's like, I read in a textbook you're supposed to set up the classroom different ways. But if you're struggling, you're better off talking to a fellow teacher. Like, listen, I have this one student who just won't pay attention. Where should I seat him? So like, it's so different, and that's a perfect example. Like, think about how close you become with employees or with people you dorm with in college. Like, you create a bond just among yourselves.
Here's a weird nuts and bolts thing I want to ask you, because me and my wife have actually discussed this, and actually my whole family was discussing when we were watching it. The confessional. Okay. Yes. So we're seeing like when it's edited together, we see a competition, for those of you who don't know it, where people, it could be anything crazy. They could be playing miniature golf. They could be swinging on a vine. Whatever. They're in the dark, trying to find thing in goo and being blasted with who knows what. But anyway, for those of you who don't watch Big Brother, but then they cut to, and if you watch any reality show, you've seen this. They have confessionals. Then you cut to the reality to the reality show where the person is discussing the actual event, and it's back and forth. So when you're in the confessional and you're talking about the comp, how does that work? Break it down the nuts and bolts for us.
Okay. So obviously we record the DRs after the comps because, you don't have premonitions about what's going to happen. So we record them after. So let's say what will happen is, let's say we do BB Comics. And then we all come in, and I get undressed. I am about to go to bed. They'll be like, Nicole, please come to the diary room. And you're about to walk to the diary room, and then, like, a producer will come over and be like, Nicole, we need you in your BB Comics outfit, please. Like, oh, right. So you have to go put the outfit on, the whole ensemble, everything. If you had a headband, if you had a wristband, everything. So then it's something. So then you go in the DR, and you're like, okay, hey, I'm ready. And they're like, all right, talk about the comp. And at this point, we're usually all used to it. But if you walk in, you're like, all right. So I walked outside and I saw, they're like, nope, redo. Has to be present tense. So you go, so I walk outside and I see the comics and everything's present tense. So it's tough because especially in the early weeks, you're more likely to be like, I'm so mad that I lost. I fell off the thing and I'm so mad. I'm still doing it. I was so mad. I can't believe I did that. And they're like, no, present tense. So you have to be like, so I'm on this zip line and I fall. I am so angry right now. So everything has to be present tense. So, and I think one of the most interesting facts is our move-in week last year, because we were all in our caricature outfits. We had to wear those outfits for probably a week because they were prepping the episodes for the next week. And that was irritating for 4 days after move-in. They'd be like, Nicole, we need you in your move-in outfit. And I was like, I hate this outfit. I am over it. I'm so sick of wearing these floral pants. And I wore everything on premiere night. I had a headband. I had a choker. I had a shirt. I had I had to put on the whole ensemble.
Oh my!
And someone like Holly, she had to braid her hair every single time.
Oh my God.
So stuff like that, you don't realize it, but yeah.
Do they show you any video prompts, or do they tell you anything? Tell us about when, do they kind of prompt you when you're in the diary room, or do you just have to do it straight from memory, or how does that go?
They will prompt you. So I think it also depends your personality type. As you could tell, I never stop talking. So they'd be like, Nicole, what'd you think of the comp? And I'd be like, okay. So I walked outside and I'll talk about all this stuff. And then they'll be like, all right, now let's condense that and make it one clear thought. So I was like, okay. I walk outside and I see a lot of color. They're like, good job, Nicole. So, so then they prompt you. And there are people, and I've had this happen where you walk in, you're like, oh, wait, did I mess up that order? I don't remember. And they'll be like, oh, okay, so you did press the button 3 times and you got it wrong. Can you talk about that? And you're like, oh, right. Yeah, so I clicked the button. I'm wrong. I have to do it again. So they prompt you and they let you have artistic license. They'll tell you to make it concise. And if you're completely lost and they're like, oh, tell us about that conversation you had with Ian And you're like, what conversation? I don't remember. And, they'll be like, oh, you were in the back bedroom. You were talking about alliances. And then you're like, oh, they won't tell you what you said because obviously you suck at the game. But you should remember what you said. But they'll be like, oh, they'll give you the general, like you were with this person in this room talking about this. Can you talk about that? And they'll kind of help you remember. Especially early last season, I'd always be like, wait, who did I talk to? And then you start, getting used to I got to remember this.
Oh, one more weird nuts and bolts thing. I don't know. I'm like a nuts and bolts behind the scenes guy.
Oh, I love talking about it.
So the dances and high fives during the vote in that little hallway. Talk to me about how that works, and did you I don't remember specifically any of yours, but I just know I've seen so many where they do elaborate things when they're going in between. So go ahead.
So that is completely on the house guests, and that's a matter of memorizing it with each partner, because when we do a rehearsal before the Thursday eviction, but we go into the DR in alphabetical order. So that just alphabetical order.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So they'll be, hopefully I can share this. They'll be like, oh, today's vote, quote unquote, is, hot dogs or hamburgers. And they'll be, okay, alphabetical order by first name. We go into the DR, and it is Julie. We do a practice run. Nicole, who do you vote to evict? Oh, I vote to evict hamburgers, whatever. And, we just do a mock thing just to make sure all the camera shots are ready for the live show, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to the live show, that's when they do the actual order of who votes. And
so it's not alphabetical then?
No. Not alphabetical on the live show, and it is strategic because if they know somebody's the one who might be the swing vote, they'll put them later. So in that sense, you don't know who you're going to be walking down the hallway toward or down the hallway away from after you're leaving. So you just kind of got to memorize things with each house guest and hopefully remember them. So the only one I really remember is me and Sam from last season. We had this thing where if we were ever in the hallway together, I was going to blow him a kiss. He was going to swat it away and show me his wedding ring. And I was going to be like, oh, man. So that was our thing. So that was the only one that I really planned with somebody and executed well. Other than that, I usually panicked and forgot and would do a shimmy or a high five. But it's completely on the house guests to memorize and do.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But I do enjoy it because some of them are really simple, and then some of them you're like, oh my goodness, it's like a NFL touchdown celebration basically.
Some of them do very well.
Yeah,
I panic even if I have something planned. I'm like, oh gosh, what was this person? And I end up doing a weird shimmy. It's just story of my life.
That's exactly what I'd be doing too.
Right, the panic shimmy.
All right, so I want to ask you to compare something for us because you're one of the few human beings who are at the center of a Venn diagram where you have both been in a classroom and know what it's like to be classroom tired. But you've also dealt with celebrity stuff and been Big Brother tired, right? Where it's constant the center of attention or the fandom and whatnot. So I'm very curious. Could you compare those two tireds for us? And what is it like?
Yes.
That is a tremendous question. Okay, so.
Good job, Mealy.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And you can compare being in the house or outside the house being tired, Big Brother tired. Because I'm sure in the house it's also ridiculous. But go ahead.
Yes.
And I feel like we should start calling me Anthony because I like the whole last name thing.
Okay, cool, Anthony. That could be confusing, but yes.
You got it, Tony.
Okay.
Tony. Just call me Tony.
Anthony. Yes.
So, okay, tired in the classroom, like I said, that is I guess it also depends on the age group. If they're younger and you're chasing them around more, it's physically exhausting. If it's older kids and let's say, there's behaviors or whatnot, that's more mentally exhausting. But I don't want to poo-poo it because teaching is very difficult. And like I said, they deserve so much more credit than they get, teachers. But, you get home and it's kind of you can decompress for a little bit. Even if you just turn off for a little bit, then you can go grade papers, then you can go write assignments. But you have that at least a moment of decompression. In the Big Brother house, it never stops. So my best analogy, obviously we're teachers, we're comfortable around whether it be young kids or teenagers. Think about parent-teacher night. When you're oh God, now I'm meeting the parents. I need to be on. I need to be ready. I need to be going. I need to not screw this up because I feel typically teachers tend to be more anxious around parents. So now imagine that feeling, but all day, every day in a house and you can't get away from them. So the Big Brother house is just constant and exhausting. And the thing about it is you don't have your typical person to fall back on, whether it be your best friend or your neighbor or your sister or whomever. You're just with strangers that even if you want to confide in them, they could use that against you as game. Yes. They could be just pulling your leg. They could be pretending to be your friend. So you really, and even the DR, there's nobody in there. So you're talking at a camera. So it's not like it's personal.
Right.
So it's just very, very, very emotionally exhausting. Yeah. And then coming out of the house, I would say is more similar to teaching because you do have moments where you can disconnect and decompress.
Yes.
But it's a very different whirlwind because, like, I know when I got off my first season, it was a lot of like, oh my God, the fandom loves you. We need you to create social media. We need to see you. We want to know what you're doing. What are you doing? Who are you with? Are you with this person? Why are you hanging out with that person? And it's like, oh my gosh, like everybody and their brother wants to know what I'm doing with my daily routine. Mm-hmm. But you can very well disconnect yourself if you choose to. And I think now that I'm a year into it, I've gotten better at balancing. So I would say the exhaustion kind of like dissipates. So I would say it's like Big Brother in the house, then teaching, then Big Brother out of the house. That's like my scale.
Big Brother should actually pay for you guys to have some kind of debriefing therapy where all of you get to see like a counselor for like 20 times just because of, I mean, for real, it is like, it's a mind
damaging. Yes.
Like,
well, I will definitely share this. I'm very open about it. When I got off last season, I was like, I really think I should maybe go to therapy. That was a very, very weird experience. And then I was like, no, I'm busy with meet and greets. I'm busy. I'm fine. And I kept myself busy. And then entering the house this time, for those that have watched Big Brother, watched the live feeds, I did have kind of a mental break very early on. I kind of spiraled and was in a very low place, very scary place. So I was kind of happy I got evicted. And now I will be going to therapy, and CBS, which is obviously the network that has Big Brother, they are paying for me to go. So like a huge shout out to them. Like they are very, they're very like cognizant of how everybody's doing. They want to help us mental health wise because they know it's weird. It's a strain. It's like a whole different world. So I will be going to therapy. I'm very open about mental health awareness and all that. So I'm excited to start.
Cool.
That's great.
Awesome.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Hey guys, this is an advertisement, a commercial if you want to know what it is.
And they do.
So this is especially for you folks in North Kakalaki and South Kakalaki. You have a house, you have a car, you have life. What do you need? You need insurance. You go, you know what? If I could buy my insurance from a former teacher, that's what I'd like to do. Hey Tudisco, do you know anyone that has a business selling insurance who used to be a teacher?
I do, and I think you do too. Pimentel?
Yeah, he used to teach with us, but he doesn't anymore. And apparently there's some guy Garcia that he knows. So they've got insurance. You need insurance. There's a link in the show notes.
We're all kind of looking at bottom line. We're looking at what's going to help us, what's going to be easiest. Check it out. Talk to them. Get a quote, and they will help you out.
And it's at Pimentel, Pimentel, Garcia.com. So you can email them that info. You can go to the website, or you can call 704-272-3535. It's all listed in the show notes. Swipe down and click, baby. You're there. And then get your insurance from a teacher, not from some weird lizard or from some ball guy who says ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. No, you don't want that. You want it from a teacher. That's where you want your insurance.
When you call up Pimentel Garcia Insurance, make sure you tell them you heard it from us. And now, back to the show.
So now comes the time where we're going to play a game, okay? Since you've been on Big Brother, you love games. Now, I couldn't come up with like a comp game and have like Hugo versus Tudisco because it wouldn't really make sense. Yes, it wouldn't make sense. So I'm
not known as a comp piece, Tudisco.
Okay, so this is just going to be, it's going to be more of just like a regular game, but I'm going to throw a little bit of Big Brother flavor and a little bit of other stuff in it, okay?
Okay.
So you may or may not be familiar with the old game like kids play in, like, I guess maybe more in college, kill, marry, and then the other word. You know that game?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
And so we changed it to student, teacher, administrator. Okay. And if you want to go there, we can go there. But I changed it to, for you, you have to make them your ride or die, make them the head of household because you would think you would be safe with them, or you want to evict them.
Okay.
Okay. So it's ride or die, head of household, or evict. Okay.
Can you, for losers like me, just define
yeah,
head of
sure.
household and
Sure.
ride or die?
I'll let Nicole do it. Just describe all those three things, Nicole.
Yeah,
Okay.
Anthony.
Yeah,
All right,
Anthony.
Anthony. Tony's ready. Okay, so obviously, evicted is the person you want to get rid of. You want them out of the house.
Right.
Your ride or die is your person till the end, your final two. You will never turn against them. They are with you till the end, ride or die. So loyal. And then head of household is the person that is like in charge, kind of like the principal. So they're in charge, and then they're the people that evict people. So if you want somebody as head of household, you trust them to not evict you.
Yeah. And it changes every week. Each week there's a competition and there's a new head of household each week. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. So, so these are the three and you have to pick. It's going to be fun. Okay. So Julie. Okay. And Zingbot and Benny the Squirrel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I would say Julie is the head of household because I trust her. I think she likes me. I think she would keep me safe. Zingbot is my ride or die because he would be a bigger target in front of myself. So if we were on the block next to him, people would get rid of him. And if I was sitting next to him in the final two, he's not nice, so he would lose over me. So I win.
Nice.
And then Benny the Squirrel, I'm going to evict because I'm going to be honest. That thing freaks me out. Especially the life-size one that came into our house. Like, that thing was freaky.
Okay.
Give me a moment to Google what all those things are.
That's for our BB super fans that know what's going on. So this one will be a little more regular. Let's go with the Toy Story one. Okay. So you've got you watch Toy Story. You're a Toy Story fan. Okay. So you've got Woody, Buzz, and Jessie.
Oh man. This is tough.
I love this.
Feel like I take it very seriously. I feel as though Woody would be HOH because he's a very level-headed guy. He's a very thoughtful guy. He's loyal. So I think me and him would get along. I would say my ride or die would be Buzz because again, I think his mouth would get him in trouble. And I feel like your ride or die has to be somebody you're good with, but that you would win next to. Or that would be a bigger target in front of you, like I said. And then I would evict Jessie only because right now I don't know her as well as I know Woody and Buzz. Like, they're like the classics. Like, she's more like, who is she? Like, is she trying to get in good with Woody? Is she trying to get in with Buzz? Like, I can't have that. So we got to get rid of Jessie.
Okay, cool. Let's do one more. Do you want to do animals or Harry Potter?
Oh, Harry Potter.
Okay. So just the three main ones, okay? Harry, Hermione, or however you say, because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. And Hermione and Ron.
Okay. I was expecting a Draco in there.
Okay.
So I'm going to add a fourth category. The fourth category is showmance. My answer is Draco.
Okay.
So, I would say head of households, I would go with Ron. Because again, I feel like Ron is a very calm guy. I feel like I could talk to him and be like, listen, you're all about, you want to win. I can get you to the end, Ron, And then my ride or die, I would say Hermione because she's very, very smart. And I think her and I would balance each other very well and go to the end together. And I wouldn't, if I did lose, I wouldn't mind losing to her because she's amazing. And I would vote to evict Harry because Harry is the greatest person ever. So you can't have Harry in the house because he would win everything.
You got to get rid of Harry.
You in the final. So you got to get rid of the best of the best.
Yes, you got to take the shot at Harry and get him out of the house. Okay, awesome. So
from the outside and not knowing anything about the rules, these strategies are fascinating.
Thank you. You'd think I'd lasted longer this season.
You made it to third in season 21.
And Nicole?
Oh, yeah, my first season. Yeah, this time I went out second.
Also, and if you choose to keep it or use it or never play it again, this game is my gift to you. So feel free to whether on your podcast or other social stuff that you do. I think it could be a fun game with the real Big Brother people. You could ask someone and do that and say, hey, how would you do this with people from the past? Or there's so many permutations of this game that you can kind of play. So
absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome. So
sharing is caring.
It is.
Sharing is caring. And speaking of your podcast, do you want to talk a little bit about your podcast?
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So me and my co-host Eric at Reality Recaps, we have a podcast. It is called the Hello Friends Podcast. It is on all the major podcast providers. And what it is obviously me and Eric love reality TV and we cover it, but on the podcast, it's more life. So we talk about, our daily lives. We talk about pop culture. We talk about the news. We talk about life on Long Island. We've done a lot of fun facts about Long Island, or you're from Long Island when. So we enjoy that kind of stuff. Eric loves embarrassing me, so there's a lot of maybe some more inappropriate, not safe for work podcasts because he likes to see me squirm and blush. Those are always fun, but it's just a fun, positive time. We've had a lot of guests. We've had Omarosa on. We've had Matt Iceman on. We've had a lot of Big Brother players on. And again, we just talk about their lives, how they're doing with COVID, what shows they're watching. Very lighthearted. Yes, we also talk about deeper stuff like Black Lives Matter and whatnot, but we like to keep it general. We never corner our guests. We never berate them. We're not about the whole, we caught you. That's not our style. Yes. But it's a fun time, and everything can be found at hellofriendspod.com.
All right. And it's weekly, right? Yes, you release weekly, pretty much?
We do 5 mornings a week.
Oh, wow.
But since getting off the show, we haven't been religiously back because I've been trying to acclimate post Big Brother. So right now we are 2 days a week.
Okay.
And then we're going to be slowly working our way back to 5.
Wow. And how long is each episode?
An hour.
Wow.
I told you, I like to hear myself talk.
I tell you, that's a lot. Do you do any of the tech end of it, or do you guys just show up and slap on some headphones and pull out a microphone, or do you or Eric produce it or edit it?
Eric is the producer, editor. He's the tech end of it. He does all of it, which is almost unheard of that he does all of it as well as host. It's incredible. And he's also been teaching me, so I know some things here and there, about Skype and algorithms, and I'm learning about YouTube and Twitch. I'm getting there, but Eric is definitely the tech side of it. He is absolutely incredible, and I don't know how his brain works that way. It's incredible.
Wow. And I think the answer to your question of how do you know you're from Long Island is you can read and pronounce Nissaquag.
Yes, Patchogue, Popeg,
Hop-hog.
Yes.
I was driving with one of my friends from upstate, and he was like, "What's Hapauji?" I'm like, "Oh, sweetheart."
Oh no.
Oh.
In the Big Brother house,
child.
I had a I've been to Long Island. I've been to Ronkonkoma, and I was like, ooh.
So close, so close.
I'm ready. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
fantastic.
good. Oh, man. Well, this has been a blast, Nicole. I just want to say thank you so much. Go ahead.
I genuinely mean it, because I don't just say stuff to say it. I genuinely mean it. I think this is the most fun podcast I've done.
Oh,
I've done a lot. And you guys are a lot of fun. The lighthearted stuff and funny questions and laughing and games. It's good. Good times.
Cool. That is our goal. You are not the first guest to say that, and that makes us feel good every single time. So that's
be successful, but
right. Yes. Yeah.
You guys are doing great. I'm so
Thank you. So yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
So
you're welcome. This is going to be a new accent. I don't even know what accent this is.
Okay. And I'll zip you Tudisco's, because I'm the guy that handles the Twitter. Tudisco does absolutely zero with Twitter. So I'll get you Tudisco's contact info. So if you guys ever want to connect or whatever and talk Long Island stuff.
Island?
Yeah, post COVID when Tudisco's back there and you guys go grab some coffee or whatever it is.
But wait, where are you from?
I'm from just outside Philly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm from the suburbs of Philly. So, I don't have you. I know you. I listened to one episode where you and your boy Eric were bad mouthing Pennsylvania.
That is not me. He is so bad. His joke is that he hates New Jersey, so he just picks on New Jersey. He picks on Pennsylvania. He's so horrible. I'm always in Pennsylvania. Sam from last season's from Pennsylvania. I was just up there 2 weeks ago. I stayed up there.
Where's Sam from in Pennsylvania?
He used to live in Mountaintop.
Okay, no idea where that is.
And now he moved to. I don't remember the name.
Is he closest to Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, or Philly?
No.
Do you drive there or do you fly there?
Oh gosh, this is embarrassing. I take the bus.
You take the bus?
I always took the bus to Philly.
You
Because
take the bus.
Because I don't drive. I do drive. I don't have a car yet. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
so easy not to have a car on Long Island, though. Like,
It's
I didn't
not-
have a license until I was like 20.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I got my license a few years ago. I've been rocking and rolling, but like I don't have my own car. So that's like project number 1 is to get my own car.
Tudisco.
But yeah, I take the bus.
Tudisco, did I ever tell you the story of me riding the bus from Philadelphia to Indiana, Pennsylvania, when I was at college?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is 1986, so a long, long time ago. I'm an old man, Nicole.
No.
And Greyhound drivers were on strike. Okay,
Oh,
it was
they're
literally
always- they're
it was
mean.
literally
Yeah.
dangerous to ride the bus because they were like people shooting at buses. Like
Oh my
they were like
gosh.
because the union was mad that the buses were still rolling, and so they were like there was like buses that got shot at, you know. So anyway,
Gosh.
so I
So
get
you got
on
on a bus.
so I get on a bus, right? And Nicole,
So
you know,
I got on the bus.
so you know from riding the bus, there's no direct route from point A to point B on Greyhound. You have to go to 17
Oh, yeah.
small
Yep.
towns on the way.
Yep. Mhm.
So we're riding. So it's what would be a 5-hour drive is an 11-hour bus ride, which is I guess I don't know how typical that is, but that's the way it was back then. So we're on the bus, and so we're off the highway down another little Cowtown road to go to this bus stop, right? It's one of those stops like you see in the movies where like there's literally just like a pole in the
I know. Oh
ground
gosh.
in a
Yeah.
field, right?
I've seen 4 horror movies start that
Yep.
way. Go on.
Yep.
Right? So this blind lady gets on, right? There's only like 6 people on the bus total because people are scared to ride the bus. This blind lady gets on, right? And she sits up front. And the bus driver is driving, and he goes about like 20, 30 minutes. And he's like, I don't know how to say this, guys, but I'm not sure where we are, how to get back on track.
Oh my god.
And I'm like,
That's horrifying.
it gets better. Guess who starts giving him directions?
The blind lady.
No.
The blind lady starts giving him directions.
No. Oh,
She's
my-
like, well,
that's-
she's like, what road are you on, and what's this? And she's like, you're gonna need look for this name of this road.
Wow.
And I
That's
am
a
like,
rock bottom.
I'm on a bus with a blind lady giving directions to the scab bus driver in the middle of like the hills of Pennsylvania, like Nowhereville, and I'm like, if we get there,
Oh
this
my
is gonna be
gosh.
ridiculous. So that's my bus riding story. So
That's intense.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh.
My bus riding story
Yes.
was because I take Greyhound into the city, and then at the city I get on Marts because Pennsylvania has like Marts trailways.
hmm
So like I'm on the Marts bus, and that's like what, like 3 hours maybe.
okay.
I was so good and so quiet for like 2 hours and 55 minutes. Like that's very good.
Yes.
And then Sam, who I was visiting, is behind me in his car, and he called me, so I picked up. He's like, "Nicole, I'm behind the bus," and I got excited, so I was like, "Yeah, Sam!" The bus driver flipped out on me. Mind
Oh,
you,
God.
we were like a block away from like the Mart stop, and he was like, "Miss, you are being so loud and disrespectful right now. You need to turn off your phone." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I just got excited. My friend is behind the bus. Like, I'm sorry." And then he's like, "No, you need to turn off right now. This is so disrespectful." And I was like, "I'm sorry." So I hung up on Sam, and I was like, I'm sorry. And he's still yelling at me. And we were at the bus stop. And I don't understand.
God.
Like, I was quiet for like 2 hours and 55 minutes. Like, that has to count for something. And
Yeah.
he was just not having
Some
it.
partial
So I got,
credit.
Yes.
I know.
So-
I got in trouble on the bus.
Speaking of loud, I have another bus story. Okay. So this was
Okay.
riding back from, like, I went to college in Indiana, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh. It's in the
Okay.
hills. It's near Punxsutawney where the groundhog is.
Aw.
Yeah. So I've been there as well. They have a branch campus there. So I'm riding
cool.
back, and this was a overnight, like the red eye version of the bus, right? So I get on a bus at 11 o'clock at night. It's going to arrive in Philly at 11 a.m. It was horrible. Okay.
God.
So, and it's Thanksgiving, like the week of Thanksgiving. So it's completely packed. Because when I would ride on the bus, I would normally put my suitcase next to me once
Yeah,
I sat so that no one sits there, right? So this guy finally, like, it's like, he's like walking up and down. He can't find a seat. He's like, "Can I sit here?" And I'm like, so I put my suitcase, like, and he sits down. What I don't know is, and this is not mocking or whatever, and it is what it is. He had some form of Tourette's.
Oh, you didn't know.
And there was no way to know. So, blah, blah,
No.
literally every 4 minutes
Wow.
The whole ride?
for an 11-hour bus ride overnight.
Oh my gosh.
It's like 3 in the morning. Blah, blah. And you're like,
Oh, no.
was
Did it
horrific.
startle you like the first? I would have been very startled the first time.
Oh, no, he didn't say anything. We did not speak because I'm like
No.
eyes closed, head on the window. Just
Yeah.
it's you know, I've been on the bus for like an hour at that time or whatever. So it's like midnight
Yeah.
or whatever when he gets on, and I'm just trying to sleep. So it was, yeah.
I was actually shocked. Like I said, I just went up to Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago, and the bus was packed. Like I thought it was going to be like every other seat or don't.
Yeah, for COVID, right? They
No,
don't care,
it
huh?
was shoulder to shoulder packed.
Oh,
I had on
God.
2 masks
Jeez.
and I was freaking out. I was
I
like, "This is
bet.
bad.
Yeah.
This is bad news bears." I was panicking.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it'd be better, but
yeah. I guess apparently they need to make the money. I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
No one cares about that the way they care about the airlines. I guess. I don't know.
right. Oh, that's true. That's very true.
So okay. Well, we're gonna say thank you. I'm gonna
Thank you.
have fun.
Thank you so much.
But it was really a blast. And we always
Yeah.
at the end we say, and guys, stay unprofessional. That's the tagline at the end. So